We are live.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Night 10 of Zappadan. Do we have a lag?
No, I don't think we have a lag. We're good.
I hope we don't have a lag. We'll find out. All right, tonight we are talking about an album that is beloved by a lot of Zappa fans, and it's one that is it's almost like the mascot. We might piss off a few diehards with our opinion on this one.
I'd like to think we're not going to piss anybody off.
Well,
but
it's not our intention.
No, I'd like to think that we're going to open some eyes.
All right, so tonight's album is Cruising with Ruben and the Jets. Now, I've got it only in the Greasy Love Songs reissue, which has this Mylar repackaging, which is super shiny and doesn't look good on camera.
I really like the picture on the back.
Ooh, it's shiny. Here we go. Yeah, there's Uncle Frank in his school graduation uniform. And here he is in his senior yearbook photo. I'll be at my parents' house in a couple weeks, so I promise to similarly embarrass myself.
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
Yeah, let's do that. I really love the album art here. So we got the front cover here, and then this is from the gatefold. That's a depiction. It's too shiny, but
so shiny.
So shiny. It's a really cool picture. But right here we've got this beautiful art by Cal Schenkel, who's sort of like George Martin's the fifth Beatle. This dude's like the 10th mother.
He did a lot of his art, didn't he?
Yeah, he lives in Pennsylvania.
What?
Cool guy. He's responsive to fan mail. Don't be like, hey, your art's cool. Talk to him.
We should send him a basket of fizzy water for Christmas.
That's right. Tonight's show is brought to you by Trader Joe's Sparkling Water.
Just the winter sangria one.
The winter sangria edition.
It's
only
really
available
good.
for a limited time at fine retailers. All right, so what we have here in this drawing by Cal Schenkel is the mothers of invention looking like a bunch of little doggies with their penis-like noses, because that's totally what they're meant to look like.
For sure.
I mean, there they all are.
Can I tell you that that's going to make me think of the Goofy movie in a totally different way the next time I watch it?
There you go. Yeah, there's Ian, there's Ray Collins, there's Frank, Jim, Buzz, Bunk, and all the rest of them. All right, but more importantly is this quote coming out of Puppy Dog Frank's mouth, or maybe it's Ruben. Maybe it's Ruben Sano himself.
Ruben.
It's Ruben. Is this the mothers of invention recording under a different name in a last-ditch attempt to get their cruddy music on the radio?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, review's over.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Happy Zappadan. Sairam. See you tomorrow. 200
Mo says bye, too.
All right, so not really. There's a lot to talk about here. The fact of the matter is you have this joke depicted on the cover of Cruising with Ruben and the Jets. And the answer is a resounding yes. This is the mothers of invention recording under a different name in a last-ditch attempt to get their cruddy, in the ear of the beholder, music on the radio. Let's just jump right into talking about the album as a whole.
Yes.
We've been going track by track, and on a lot of these albums, you can do that. It's like examining a painting and talking about the brush strokes.
Definitely.
Here, we've got throwaways.
Right. Well, we've talked about how, the last, pretty much every album we've done so far for Zappadan it's brought in different elements. We've gotten blues, rock, psychedelia,
classical, jazz.
Everything's been brought in. But this truly it's a doo-wop album.
Straight up doo-wop.
It doesn't really stray far from the doo-wop path.
There's like there's two chord progressions on it.
Yeah.
They only use two chord progressions. Da 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 da.
I also feel like the doo-wop path, I just wanted to throw this out there, is paved with a lot of milkshakes.
Absolutely.
And like cheeseburgers and fries.
Although I think they might have still been called chocolate malted in some part.
Oh my God, a malted.
A chocolate malted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But we get a lot of musical references to doo-wop songs, which if you're a musicologist or a doo-wop fan, it's cool because you'll hear it and go, oh, they're quoting "I Only Have Eyes for You." Right. They're quoting "In the Still of the Night." They're quoting "Memories of El Monte."
Is that why that's stuck in my head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because "Love of My Life" is Earth Angel. There's
Yes.
a track on the mystery disc of Frank when he had a radio show in his early 20s, sitting at a piano, and he does that chord progression, and he goes, well, if you play that, you can play, I don't know, about 5,000 songs that are on the radio right now. And it's the da 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 da.
So I love, we looked at the album art already. I love that there's all these images of him in high school because this is what was popular when he was in high school.
Yes, it
What
was.
was the doo-wop? And I think the little, the quote that we read and then pulled a fast one on you, that was inside the front sleeve is like, he's playing a prank, and he's saying that that this very trite, simple music is what sells and what makes it on the radio. And
yes and no, but keep going.
I just think that he wanted to try something that was a little bit kitsch.
I think so. Yes to that. I think the music here is, I think it's delivered. It's meant to be received as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that there is affection for the music itself. He said some pretty harsh words about love songs, that calling lyrics to a love song sub-mongoloid is not exactly considered PC in the present age. But the point he was making is that love lyrics are banal and insipid. He once said love songs are all over the radio. If they had the effect they were meant to have, we'd all be living in Disneyland.
But I think he was also talking about a certain kind of love song, like
Right.
the throw the coin in the fountain and make a wish,
Or you threw me out and you threw my shark skin into some doggy mess.
right. There's that's so different than the lyrics of a Sam Cooke song that are sincere and beautiful and about falling in love and
Now my heart's a fluttering.
yeah.
You're right though. You have those romantic with a capital R.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which is like if the moon were mine to give, you get really romantic lyrics like that. Whereas here, the lyrics are intentionally stupid.
You true blue. He literally follows that. I
Right.
would be blue without you.
Crying, dying, lying.
Right. But I think he meant for that. I don't think he
wasn't phoning it in on
Right,
purpose.
right.
This was all, it was him doing the paint by numbers chord progressions
Right.
and then writing lyrics that he knew were goofy. He probably was staying up and writing lyrics and giggling at how stupid they were.
Totally. He probably listened to all those bands that were Someone and the Somethings.
Exactly.
Raymond and the Honeypots. I don't know if that's an actual band, but I made that up.
Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
There we go.
Johnny and the Hurricanes.
That's it. That is a Kinks song lyric that you just said, isn't it? Johnny and the Hurricanes.
Well, that was a real band.
Oh,
too.
okay. There we
And
go.
then there's Otis Day and the Knights from Animal House, my favorite.
So good.
All right, so we've determined that the album is essentially a big prank. Another thing we've noticed is at a time where, so when this album was recorded, Frank and company were working on 3, debatably, possibly 4 albums at once.
Mm-hmm.
We're Only in It for the Money, Lumpy Gravy, Ruben and the Jets, and Uncle Meat.
Right.
That sounds like a lot, and it is. But keep in mind, Uncle Meat got finished in LA after they left New York. Ruben and the Jets, nearly all of these songs sound incomplete. They sound like demos.
They do.
Compared to the amount of editing, the tape music, the splicing, all of that stuff that happens on We're Only in It for the Money, this is austere.
Oh, it sounds flat at times. It doesn't have he was known for having layers and layers and layers of different
Right.
instruments and different time signatures. And this is
The doubled up melodies.
really doubled up melodies. This is very minimal percussion, if any at all.
So that's another thing. What the hell is with that percussion sound?
It's very weird. It's super weird.
So I'm not talking about the remaster. The remaster sucks. In my book, that album doesn't even exist. Jimmy Carl Black said, when we recorded that album, the guys that recorded the drum and bass tracks were still in diapers. That was his stance on it.
All right.
And I love
Which makes sense because it was re-recorded in the 80s, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
And I love Art Perro, and a gig's a gig. But that said, what the hell is with the drum sound on this album? There's like this weird slapback echo to the point that I think it sounds like an aesthetic error.
It's weird. It's like he filtered it through something weird, but he like,
It
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
a fuck up.
But I feel like Frank didn't fuck up ever.
Right. So that's my other thought is you're very right. He was very much the director sitting in the chair, and he had full control over every nanosecond of his projects. So if something is on an album and it sounds a certain way, it's because he meant it to sound that way.
Exactly. That's why I think he intended for it to sound like trite and simple and like kind of hollow.
Airless.
Yeah. So I think it's really intentional. And if you're able to look at it that way, like if you go in thinking you're going to be listening to, well, if you go in thinking you're going to be listening to a good doo-wop album, you're not 100% wrong.
There are some marvelous songs on it.
Yeah, there are some great songs on it. What is it? Love of My Life is a really good song.
It may be Earth Angel Sideways, but guess what? That chord progression is never bad. The lyrics are gorgeous.
They are gorgeous.
That's actually a good set of lyrics. It's
I think the Jelly Roll Gumdrop song is hilarious and actually pretty catchy.
And apparently John Lennon liked that song. A tape of him singing it with his stepdaughter Kyoko sold at auction a few years back.
That's really funny. So yeah, it has like, if you're going in and you're like, I love doo-wop and I want to hear a great doo-wop album, like it won't fully disappoint you. But I think that wasn't the artist's intended purpose. I think he wanted to create something that poked a little bit of fun at like the, again, hollow music industry and what was selling at the time and what was big when he was in high school.
And to shout out also to another great original on this album is Fountain of Love.
Super good.
Again, he shits on the lyrics, but musically it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge is adorable.
It's sweet.
And then in that fade out, again, I don't know how many Stravinsky fans are going to be listening to a doo-wop record in 1968 manufactured by this less than famous avant jazz rock combo.
Right.
But whoever that person was, it may just have been Frank Vincent and Zappa. In the fade out of this tune is the theme to The Rites of Spring by Stravinsky.
I think that's really cool. And he did that a couple of times throughout his career where he would quote, he quotes a Santana song musically.
Now, in that case, it's so overt. The track is labeled Variations on the Carlos Santana Secret Chord Progression.
Right.
Here, it is a counter melody in the song's fade out. Fountain of Love. Ooh,
I do like that one.
It's a pretty melody.
It's pretty.
So, some low lights on this album. Much of the rest of it.
Yeah.
Of particular note are the redoings of songs that we had heard on Freak Out. Any Way the Wind Blows, You Didn't Try to Call Me, I'm Not Satisfied. They drag ass.
They really, that I'm Not Satisfied song, the lyrics are so upsetting and it just drags ass.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like you're waiting for it to be done. And I rarely feel like that about I don't feel like that about any of Frank's music.
Right. He's interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, like that maybe that was forgettable, or maybe that just wasn't my favorite. But that one, I'm like, please be done. It's so bad.
The one that succeeds is a song that rocked on Freak Out, and that's How Could I Be Such a Fool.
Mm-hmm.
The version you hear on Ruben and the Jets, that would inspire the live renditions they did in the 70s when Napoleon was fronting the Mothers.
Yeah.
On their final tour.
Mm-hmm.
They would rock on that one too. They would also do good live versions of I'm Not Satisfied because, again, it got completely rearranged.
I know. I feel
it's
like
not a good song.
It's not.
I'll play you that version from the Oz tour. It's good.
Okay.
I think we're already ready to talk about the closer.
So good.
Yeah. There's a couple other things I want to talk about, but let's talk about the closing track.
Yeah.
The idea of the album we don't mean it as a joke, like we give it 1 star and we say like, throw it out, don't buy it. But it's a joke, like you're supposed to laugh at it. It's meant to be consumed for your entertainment as well as musical enjoyment.
But it's part of the project object. It's like you have to I feel like especially with Frank's catalog, you really can't throw anything away because it's all part of this grand scheme of like the story. It's like, I don't know, any great book you read or, show you're watching or movie or whatever, even if there's something that like jumps the shark or is a little bit weird, it's kind of like it's part of the project as a whole. So I think
to put on the Zappaologist monocle, if you're going to bring up Project Object, here is how it plays into the Project Object.
Mm-hmm.
The Stravinsky reference.
Right, exactly.
And he comes back to what is the rites of spring in French? How do you say that?
The rites of spring?
Yeah.
Printemps, yeah, like, yeah.
He wrote it in French, so that's why I say that.
Right.
Anyway.
But I think the final track is definitely where you're getting to the Project Object.
Well, what I was saying in response to you about this being a crucial part of the Project Object is it establishes Frank's connection to doo-wop. He would come back to the musical form of doo-wop and present more complete tracks, whether it's Baby Take Your Teeth Out, leave them on the kitchen table, or there's some stuff from the 70s. It's late. We were at a concert earlier, so kind of blanking on song titles.
I'm proud of us, though.
But there are plenty of tunes where he resurrects the doo-wop song. Doreen.
There you go.
Doreen.
God, I
From
love
You
that
Are What
song.
You Is. Her favorite Zappa song. One of my favorites from a favorite album of ours.
That's my favorite album. We'll talk about that another night.
But Frank would keep coming back to doo-wop over and over and over again because he loved the form.
Mm-hmm.
He liked the sincerity of it. He appreciated the authenticity of it, the raw emotion captured in those tunes. And when I was at a conservatory, I was pissed off about the program because I was in a dead white European male music class. And on the phone, I just said to my dad, I don't know if I want to keep doing this because, I find more beauty in I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos than I do Moonlight Sonata. And he goes, I get it, but you should stay in the program. And I did. So I love doo-wop. To me, it is a more authentic expression than some 300-year ode to a king.
I agree. And I like that it's simple, doo-wop in general, and I like that it's about love and it's sweet and it's accessible. We've talked about Frank and accessibility before,
and those chord progressions, you can joke about it, but much like blues form, anyone can do it, and that's the point. It democratizes your ability to create.
And you hear it, and it reminds you of like 8 other songs that you know and have really good memories associated with. So.
Mm-hmm. And it just creates an easy template from which you can create.
Yeah.
Let's get to that punchline.
Oh yeah.
The only song on the album that has a jokey title, Stuff Up the Cracks.
Right.
All the rest, Fountain of Love, Any Way the Wind Blows, No.
Yeah.
Jelly Roll Gumdrop. Stuff Up the Cracks. So you're already thinking, what is this?
Right.
It's another straightforward doo-wop tune with lyrics more depressing than I'm Not Satisfied.
Yeah.
Because you actually get not just intent, but method.
Right.
The guy's going to stick his head in his oven because he's crestfallen. But then as the song ends, what I love that they do here is they keep repeating that final lyrical motif to the point that you're like, okay, either fade out and, shit or get off the pot. And right as it's about to hit that ad nauseum point, in comes out of left field a wah-wah guitar.
Yeah.
The first 2 notes, he even does it sort of like, it's me.
I know.
It is sort of like a
I'm back. Yeah. Hey guys.
It's like you sat with us for 33 minutes, you get me for a minute.
Right. And I love that. I love that he's like, that lets you know that this is part of the Project Object, that he's like, okay, we did the doo-wop thing, but I'm back now.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Right. Yeah.
I love that was your reaction to it. That's exactly the response I had many years ago when I first heard the album. And it wasn't even the original LP version. It was the horrid remix.
Right.
Stuff Up the Cracks on the remix is untouched, so you get to enjoy that. Frank and love songs. There's a running theme in these love songs and on Freak Out. You Didn't Try to Call Me, I'm Not Satisfied, Any Way the Wind Blows, I Ain't Got No Heart to Give Away.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Frank and Gail Zappa. She was not great. I'm going to be very careful with my words.
Yes.
She was his second wife. Frank was married before. It's mentioned in the liner notes to Freak Out. What's your take on this? What you saw on the Freak Out sleeve? We did some research real fast on Kay Sherman,
so
Frank's first wife.
I have like a PhD in Google. I'm really good at Googling people and I love it. So if you ever need me to Google like an ex or like someone that you like took a class from in middle school, I can do it. So Googled her and found all these like old pictures. And it's weird because it's like, it's pre-mustache Frank, which I think was probably the most jarring part. I'm like, what protected your face?
It's like Chaplin out of his makeup, or Groucho without his.
It's so weird.
It's bizarre.
He's like so baby-faced and young, and he has like a spit curl, and he's wearing like a leather jacket.
It was the 50s after all.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? It's just weird to picture like subversive. Everybody calls him iconoclastic. Sorry.
Well, he looks just like the guy he describes in Cheapness, the tie and the collar shoe wide.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to see him. And like, trust me, I mean, we all went through that. Like, I wore a Juicy Couture tracksuit and clothes from Abercrombie and that bullshit. But like,
Uncle Frank wasn't the only person to be a gelhead in his senior photo.
Everybody has
just throwing that out there.
Everybody has like where they look back and they're like, I dressed in a way or I acted in a way that really wasn't who I truly am at my core. I wasn't born in this raggedy ass hoodie. Well, you were born naked. Sorry, I had to do that.
Sure.
Anyway,
how did we get to talking about fashion?
I don't know. I love talking about fashion.
So Frank and romance, though.
Yes.
He says in the sleeve to Freak Out, been married before, nearly ruined her life.
Yeah, and it's short, and it's like.
I mean, it's like it literally is that sentence fragment, like nearly ruined her life.
Yeah, but there's something before that where it's like lovely woman or like wonderful girl, like
almost ruined her life.
Wonderful girl almost ruined her life. We filed for divorce or something like that. It's like very brief, which I think some like upon reading it and ruminating on it, I guess it's a little bit more respectful than like. It's so funny. I was talking to a friend who went through a breakup recently about like how to talk about your ex. And it's like, it's so easy to like trash that person. But the reality is that sometimes like people just like grow apart or like it doesn't work out. And he got married when he was 20 and like he was still they met in college. Like, I don't know. I just can't imagine like marrying any of the people I dated in college and like still being with them now. Like
I can picture it for myself and it's horrifying. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get that. And I get that it's like, you know, I think he did it in the best way. Like married her when I was 20. She was awesome, but it didn't work out.
Pretty big of him to have the spine to say, I fucked up and I almost ruined someone's life.
Yeah. And I filed for divorce. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do. So I think it's interesting, like, he went through this breakup, and it's someone that he was with when he was young, and then this is the music of the time he was young. Right,
so the point to be made here is, as anti-love song as Frank was,
sorry.
This era, these particular tunes, I think there's some connection to be made between where he was mentally and the byproduct of these anti-love songs. Not that I want to air out the guy's dirty laundry, but for a fellow who did not share much about his internal self, his emotions, I think we get some glimpses here. I think we're able to sort of peek through the blinds into his little home in Echo Park with Kay Sherman.
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
And then Gail, fucking nightmare. But oh, she's dead, so I can say that. Now,
I don't know, can you? I feel like that estate has claws.
Well, I did.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. When you're calling a venue to shut down a tribute band with a former band member of Frank, saying we'll send lawyers over there in 20 minutes if you don't cancel that show, you're a piece of trash.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, greedy.
Okay.
Now, this is one of the final albums from the original Mothers.
Right.
And I do also want to give a shout out to the lead vocalist on this record, Ray Collins. Now, Ray is the voice on Freak Out. He's the voice on Absolutely Free. He was in the band during We're Only in It for the Money, but abstained from participating in it because he disagreed with it so much. And I'm thinking that might have been the beginning of his rift with Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Ray was not big on the whole. He did not want to do what was once called the Watts Riot tune. Did not like Brown Shoes Don't Make It. Didn't want to get political. He just wanted to play gut bucket R&B and Pomona.
Right.
Anything else on top of that was gravy. I don't know the specifics, and even if I did, I'm not going to be one to air out dirty laundry. But all I can say about Frank and Ray is their last correspondences must have been nasty, because for the remainder of his life, from 1970 until whenever he passed, within the past few years, he referred to Frank only as Dead Zappa.
Yikes.
Like, he would call him in interviews Dead Zappa.
That's so hard. I hate hearing about riffs between people that used to create art together. It's
right,
really upsetting.
And Ray was his right-hand man, and he was the guy who got him to join his band, the Soul Giants.
Right.
And he said, well, I promise I'll make you all rich and famous. But as Jimmy Carl Black said with that big, beautiful Texan grin of his, well, you sure made me famous. R.I.P. Jim. That might be a good time to end.
Yeah.
All right, so that is night 10 of the Zappadan.
How many more nights do we have?
We have 7 left.
Whoa.
I wrote down a short list of our candidates for the next 7, and we got some good ones lined up.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for joining us for the Zappadan. We'll see you tomorrow.